Jim Cornette finally speaks out on the Diddy and Vince McMahon controversies. The wrestling world was no stranger to scandal, but when the news broke about the legal troubles surrounding Sean Diddy Combs and Vince McMahon, it sent shockwaves through the industry. Fans, wrestlers, and pundits alike were buzzing, waiting for the sharp-tongued Jim Cornette, legendary wrestling manager, promoter, and podcast host, to weigh in, known for his unfiltered takes. Cornette had been unusually quiet, leaving his audience on edge for his perspective. On a chilly September evening in 2024, during a special episode of the Jim Cornette Experience, he finally broke his silence. The studio was dimly lit, the familiar red glow of the recording light casting shadows on the walls. Cornette sat at his desk, his trademark tennis racket propped nearby, a nod to his old-school heel days. His co-host, Brian Last, leaned forward, sensing the weight of the moment. The episode had been hyped for days on X, with fans speculating about what Cornette would say. Would he defend McMahon, the man who revolutionized wrestling? Would he tear into Diddy, the music mogul now entangled in a web of allegations? Or would he, as only Cornette could, find a way to roast both while still making a point? All right, let's get to it. Cornette began, his voice a mix of gravel and fire. I've been sitting on this for a while, folks, because I don't like jumping to the cesspool without knowing how deep the sludge is. But you've all been a skin, so here it is, Diddy, McMahon, and the whole damn circus. He started with Vince McMahon. The former WWE chairman had been a towering figure in wrestling, but recent allegations of misconduct and lawsuits had tarnished his legacy. Cornette didn't hold back. Vince built an empire, no question, he said, adjusting his glasses. But the man's always been a carny at heart. You don't get to that level without stepping on toes. Or worse. I ain't shocked by what's come out. Disappointed? Sure. Surprised? Hell no. Power like that makes folks think they're untouchable, and that's when the trouble starts. Cornette leaned back, his tone shifting to one of weary reflection. I worked for Vince in the 90s. Saw the man operate. Brilliant, ruthless, and sometimes crazier than a pet raccoon. These lawsuits? They're messy, and I ain't here to play judge and jury. But when you got that many folks pointing fingers, you gotta wonder what's behind the curtain. Then came Diddy. The music mogul's legal battles, involving accusations of trafficking and abuse, had dominated headlines. Cornette, never one to shy away from a cultural jab, took aim. Puffy, Diddy, whatever he's calling himself these days, he's like a bad gimmick that won't go away. You got a guy who's been living like he's in a music video for 30 years, and now the real world's knocking. I don't know the man personally, but when your name's tied to this kind of mess, it ain't just smoke. There's a fire somewhere and it's burning hot. Brian Last chimed in, asking if Cornette saw parallels between the two. Cornette smirked, tapping his racket on the desk. Parallels? They're both rich, powerful, and thought they could outrun their own shadows. Wrestling, music, it don't matter. You put yourself on a pedestal, you better make sure it's built on something stronger than ego. Vince and Diddy? They're cut from the same cloth. Showman who forgot the spotlight burns. The episode went viral, racking up thousands of likes and reposts on X. Fans praised Cornette's candor, while others debated his takes. Cornette spitting facts about McMahon. One user posted. Another countered. He's too harsh on Diddy. Let the courts figure it out. The wrestling and pop culture worlds collided in the comments, with some calling it Cornette's best rant in years. As the show wrapped, Cornette left his audience with a final thought. This ain't about wrestling or music. It's about accountability. You can't hide forever, no matter how big your name is. The truth don't care about your title belts or your platinum records. It'll catch you one way or another. The red light blinked off. Cornette leaned back, satisfied. The wrestling world would keep turning, scandals and all, but for one night, Jim Cornette had spoken, and the fans were listening.